was a short minute.
Okay. All right. Well, time to get started. So, Psalms chapter 62. Psalm 62. And like I say, this will be the last in this unit, Psalms of the Old Testament. This is the last lesson in this unit number 2. Next week we start unit number 3. Is Psalms of Thanksgiving and Praise. And so we're like I say, the whole fall quarter is about worship in the covenant community. Okay. Let's bow for word of prayer and get started with the reading. Dear Heavenly Father, we're, Lord, grateful. Lord, you have just blessed us with so many blessings, and we ask the Lord to help us to learn appreciation for your word, and help us, Lord, to use your word correctly, and that Lord, that we would be able to use your word to enrich our lives, that it would give us wisdom, help our faith, that we be able to share your word with others around us. We just thank you, and we again, Lord, ask for rain for the land. Thank you, Jesus, in your holy name. Amen. Okay. For the director of music, Jeduthun, Psalm of David, verse 1. Truly my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him.
He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved.
How long will you assail a man that you may murder him, all of you, like a leaning wall, like a tottering fence?
4.
Let me see yours. Mine's they had counseled only to thrust him down from his high position. They delight in falsehood. They bless with their mouth, but inwardly they curse.
My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him.
He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress where I am not to be forsaken.
My salvation and my honor depend on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge.
Trust in him at all times. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge.
Surely the lowly one is but a breath, the high one is but a life. The weight of the balance, there is nothing. Together they are only here.
Do not trust in extortion, or put vain hope in stolen goods. Though your riches increase, do not set your heart on them.
God has spoken once. Twice I have heard this, that power belongs to God.
And loving kindness is thine, O Lord, for thou dost recompense a man according to his work.
Okay, so he's going to talk about songs. If you were asked to describe your life as it is now with a song, what song would you choose?
It's been a hard day's night.
Mike and Regina back there we're talking about, I remember now something about an albums or something that you had on your, and she was mentioning about, well, all she had on her, what was you describing?
Most of my albums were hard rock.
Yeah, it was
AC/DC,
Three Dog Night, I think you
Dog
remember.
Night.
Yeah, okay. Hard Day's Night was Beatles. Hard Day's Night was Beatles, okay. Hard Day's Night, all right.
Mine will be, see, with all my kids crazy.
Crazy?
Yep.
Okay. Song that would describe your life as it is now. I see some Chuck.
Well,
The Halls
my
are
favorite
back.
song, my favorite songs has always been the 23rd song.
No.
All the songs.
Nope. I'm talking about a song, S-O-N-G,
Oh,
a song. Renee, what do you like? No?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, come on.
Let it out.
We will talk, we'll discuss this later. Okay. I'm trying to think of a song that would just, I can't think of a song that describes my life as now. I don't know.
As it is now.
Is it
That's
now?
why I was saying mine would be crazy. All those kids,
Mm.
they drive me crazy.
I don't know. Anyway, songs we realize, like say, this is the thing that, you know, and they make mention it could be the song that, for whatever reason, maybe the instrumentation or lyrics of the song or whatever. But he mentions here that songs have long been a part of worship. In fact, probably from day one that worship began. We know that God, in fact, commanded that music was going to be a part of worship. When we find ourselves in the middle of trouble, not knowing where to turn, songs like the one we just read affirm God's power and love. Okay, so the Psalms, Psalms, which we usually most of the time attribute to David, although we know that David did not write all of them, but most of them are attributed to David. They give worshipers a voice. And we talked about, I think we talked about last week, there's different kinds of psalms. One of them is there's psalms of lament. There's songs of thanksgiving and praise. Psalms 62 has been recognized as a confident or confidence psalm. It expresses trust and hope in God in the middle of distress. It invited the Israelites to join the song, and it still invites us today. Okay, so as he mentions, verse 1 talks about truly my soul, and he talks about that word truly, basically expressing the sincerity of the psalmist. That's the attitude of sincerity. Okay. And then he talks about my soul finds rest in God. We're going to talk about that in just a second here. Salvation. We do not yet know from what David required rescuing. It's not evident in this psalm. Of course, we know from David's story that there were more than a couple of instances where David, I guess you could say, required rescuing.
It didn't mention Bathsheba.
Yes. I don't know that we would consider David needing rescuing from Goliath. I don't see that in that one. Although it looked, to start off with, didn't look very, very promising, but we know from the story, Goliath never had a chance. So I don't know that he needed really rescuing from Goliath. However, we do know, we can see from some instances, he did need rescuing from King Saul. Couple of times he narrowly missed the point of a spear. And not to mention, then we know there was a whole period of time in his life he was on the run from King Saul, and close calls that he had. Had to be, I guess you say, needed rescuing from his son Absalom. There was some issues there. So, like I say, we usually use that term salvation. We think about, being a Christian, going to heaven, salvation. But we have to see that David uses this word. It may not necessarily mean, could not necessarily mean strictly spiritually. there was probably some salvation he needed, actual physically being saved. So when we talk about rest, what's the difference between rest and rest for your soul in God? Anybody, if those that have the teacher's text, notice I change. Sometimes I just don't. The questions they have, sometimes I kind of change them up a little bit. Try to make it a little bit more applicable to us today. So rest and rest for your soul. Or is there a difference? Maybe that's the question.
Rest is you're working hard, put your body recuperate,
Okay.
recharge. Rest for yourself is, you got troubles, rest of the guy, lay at his feet, recharge yourself. Peace of mind.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing we know, that there's times that we just get tired. Everybody, I think we're all in that age group right now where naps are good things.
Whether you want them or not.
I-
Whether you want them or not.
I don't know that I ever had a nap that I didn't want one.
Yeah.
You sit in the chair and you're not planning on it.
Oh, okay.
When do you retire?
Plan
Huh?
Yeah,
A plane, okay.
when do you retire?
Yeah.
And you sit down, and the first thing you know, you're waking up. Didn't plan on a nap, but it just happened.
Oh, I did. I already, like say, I don't know for how long, it's been quite a while, sit down and 10 o'clock and I watch the news. Then miss the news altogether.
And you wake up and say, what happened? Or even in a movie.
Yeah.
You're watching.
rain this week?
I was gonna say.
Wake up 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I guess I better go to bed. You know? So yeah, okay, that's a rest. But then talking about rest for your soul. We talk about going on a vacation. Okay, why in the world would you go on a vacation?
Well, everybody has a limited battery inside a limited gas tank. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And not everybody fills it up the same way. Not everybody recharges.
Yeah.
Introverts need their own time. You know, extroverts need time with people. You know, it depends on what it takes to recharge.
Yeah, we know, like say vacations. Well, and that's the thing. It depends on everybody's, I guess you could say, their idea of what vacation's about. Usually, like say, recharge. I guess I like kind of that concept. A lot of times it's mental, and so it's like say, based on your perspective, you know what vacation's about. Many years ago. Ben and Nelda came for a visit and to see Aunt Alita and for everybody, I guess you could say step cousins in the family that Ben and Nelda lived in Hawaii, and so they came here to Cache, Oklahoma for I think a couple of weeks. As they called it, vacation. I was visiting with Ben, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold it. We think about, okay, vacation, go to Hawaii. And so what is a person, to a person who lives in Hawaii, I mean, because I think everybody thinks that's the ultimate vacation, Hawaii, beautiful. What's a vacation? If anybody that lives in Hawaii, what's a vacation for somebody like y'all guys? And he said, anywhere but Hawaii. And his point was change.
Well, all their family lived there too.
Well, yeah.
Of their
So sometimes vacation is family time, okay, for some people. But his point was, if you live there, as beautiful as Hawaii is, if you live there long enough, it gets old. And you think, wow, that's an amazing concept. Wow. But he said, so vacation for them is anywhere but Hawaii. Change. It's just a change of scenery, a change of a venue, whatever. Something different. Now, I'll tell you, vacation for this is one of the things that we've kind of had to overcome. Vacation for Renee is going and doing and seeing and exploring as much as she can. She used to give me a hard time because, like I say, we got an opportunity to go on a couple of cruises, 2 or 3 maybe. Disney cruises used to have the commercial, and it would show the mom and the kids are out there snorkeling, and it would cut back to him in his cabin room taking a nap. Back to her and the kids parasailing. Cuts back to him. He's on the deck with his novel, but he's taking a nap. Cuts back to them doing more stuff. Cuts back to him in a hammock on the beach. And Renee would say, "That is you. That is so you." And I'm like, "You're darn right, that's me." My idea of vacation was sleep, nap. Just take it, slow down. That's my idea, slow down. Her idea is let's go, 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 go.
Introvert.
Yeah. So we think about rest for your soul. Guess it kind of depends on, what that means for you, how that.
That's another one altogether. A lot of people are limited in their ability to actually even approach the soulish part of this because we're so busy doing the world part of this, right?
Yeah.
Taking care of business, taking care of friends and family, taking care of a job, taking care of this, taking care of that. We never get down to the soulish part of this.
Yeah.
And has always been traditionally part of being having a good, healthy Christian life is that retreat mentality. Soulish retreat, not a vacation. A soul-ish retreat for your soul to talk to God, to turn the world off, right? To get away from everything and take stock of where you are, what you are, how well you're functioning as far as you're useful Christian on the planet, whether you're mentally, personally, whatever healthy, whether that's flowing out of you to others, because that's our job. Our job is to not just be fat tankers of loving blessing that gets poured into us. Our job is to pour it out. And we're not going to pour it out if it's not in us.
Yeah.
For me, I think, when troubles, regardless of what kind of troubles you have, whether it's grief or mourning, or whether it's troubles from the world, whatever it is, when you can go to God for consolation, feeling of, okay, everything's going to go. God will see you through. It's that rest and that solace and consolation that you get when you go to God for your worldly problems.
Yeah. So one of the things, as we think about rest, rest for the soul or maybe vacation, we know there's a lot of people that will do North American Christian Convention, Promise Keepers, go to some of those, we call them spiritual retreats.
Used to be the Kaimichi Men's Clinic.
Yeah, Kaimichi Men's Clinic. I never did get to go. For some reason, never made it. Gerald and Danny Joslin that's the thing, they had their place before they shut down their house, and that was the deal. They were inviting They had that cabin up there in Oklahoma City area. But then they had kind of their own separate little deal, and they had even created like a prayer walk out there on the property. But that's what they were doing. That was part of their ministry, was inviting pastors and their wives to just come, like you said, and get away. But at the same time, specifically for them, for a spiritual retreat kind of thing, get close to God. Steve Woodstock from, and that thing, never did get the opportunity to take them up on it, but a couple from Midwest Christian College, he had property up in Colorado, and where they had a cabin, with just one of those things, came heir to a property up there and had a cabin. And that was the thing. He would always, every year, send out a little note just saying, hey, come up, stay for a week at no cost. It was right there by a lake. They had fishing gear. But that was the whole idea. Come, get away, spend a week just, and for some people, it's like, for some guys, they think about fishing, catching fish, but that was the whole idea. For some people, just to be out there and be on the lake, quiet, by yourself, just you and God, it didn't matter if you caught fish or not. You're just out there, and that was the idea, that they're inviting pastors and wives, come take some time just to get away and have some rest for your soul. Okay. So, verse 2, my rock, my salvation, my fortress. Being grounded in God's gracious salvation, protected by God's power. And if we are, our feet will not slip or give away. Not literally, but, what he said. And then he talks about, how long will you assault me? The contrast between what's come before and what will come after it. God's power versus the ultimate powerlessness of any human being. The unreliability of his enemies. And David, that's the thing, we know, that was part of how his strength of character. David, like I said, from day one, I mentioned Goliath. From day one, his strength of character was he had total understanding, total dependence upon God. And we see that all throughout his life. He is not worried about enemies. The enemy, verse 4, surely they intend to topple me. They take delight in lies. They, with their mouths, they bless, but their hearts they curse. He mentions here, obviously, David's opponents lacked reverence for God, or else they wouldn't have been opposing him. God's man. Okay. So, how should we handle people that speak well but have evil intentions? Or as they put it, hypocrites. How should we handle?
Avoid them.
Avoid them, okay?
Pray for them.
Pray for them. Okay, pray for them, avoid them.
Yeah, it's strategies, right? It depends on who they are and where they are in your life and what you're trying to interact with.
Yeah.
It's always specific, right? You may have a shark in your midst in your organization, or whatever, that somehow or another you hedge it in, keep it from being able to do any damage. You're not going to be able to make it go away. That's just life. Life is like that all over the place.
Yeah.
And whether or not you can change them, of course it starts with prayer. Because God has to empower you and then hope for a window of opportunity somewhere along the way where a change of heart and mind happens. But it doesn't happen often. Honestly. These people are just, they're wired, and that's what they want to do in life. And So then the main thing is just to keep them from being able to do any damage.
Okay. Yeah, hypothetically, so let's say we have somebody that, let's say in church, and maybe in a position where we recognize, okay, possible damage happening here. How do we handle that? Okay, David's got got one of that expressions on his face, like, okay. What do we do?
Churches are a little bit different. Churches are a little bit different scenario.
Okay.
They're not like your business or where you work, that's managed by civil laws.
Yeah.
As such, churches we have a process as described in the Bible, for approaching, admonishing, praying for, and then if need be, like sending out, you have to go.
Right. Confrontation.
Right, we have that's laid out for us in the scripture.
Right. Yeah. That's a thing that sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes that has to happen. I mean, that I'll go say on rare occasion, but it has come up a time or two where we've had individuals just like, I want to teach a Sunday school class, and for us to say, no. Now the thing is, the fear is, okay, when we do that, they're going to get mad and quit and never come back. And there's probably been a couple of those people that's what's happened. But I will tell you, like I said, Gerald Osmond, like I say, miss him. Because he was a kind of a go-to kind of guy that, years ago we had an issue come up. Some people, and it kind of described, here's the deal, some people that were just being contrary. I was trying to put it a nice way, being kind of contrary and whatever, and was talking to them about, love these people, really would like for them to be a part, but here's what's going on. Here's some of the behaviors that's happening. And as he basically, I guess it was that affirmation and that reassurance, he said, sometimes having people like that that just is detrimental. Sometimes it's better not to have certain people because, that was his point. They can create divisions in the church. They can tear up, damage. And he said sometimes it's better for some of those people just to move on. It was so good to hear him talk about that because it just kind of gave us that, that, you felt guilty. You felt bad about, ruffling people's feathers. And not to ruffle the feathers just because we want to ruffle it. No, because we could see what was going to happen, but not helping us not feel guilty about saying no to people sometimes. And so
You
that
don't want to replace me yet? So you want to replace me now?
No, you're fine. Oh yeah. Sorry to disappoint you, Dean. Okay. That's the sad reality. You're gonna have people from time to time that just, Paul talks about it. And in fact, if you go through some of his letters, he names sometimes and talks about, these individuals were creating problems. And what is he said? He talks about don't even eat with those people. That's what he said. It's strictly what he said, is exactly what he said. Don't even eat with those people. What he was saying is that the idea, the concept to sit down and eat together with a person is you're basically kind of inviting them into your inner circle. And some people, okay, I'm going to be nice to you. I'm going to be nice to you, but I'm not going to have you as my closest, confident, close friend.
Well, in the Jewish world, Jewish mindset, unclean, like, treat them as unclean.
So, all right.
Also sitting down with them, you can get sucked into their
Right.
problems that they're causing, and then you become a problem.
Not to mention, like say, sometimes that other person gets the idea that, oh, I'm condoning what they're doing, Okay. So then he talks about, my souls find rest in God. Hope comes from God. Right? Then again, he repeats himself several times. My rock, my salvation, my fortress. Psalms 131:2 talks about using the same word as rest, describing a weaned child with his mother. Security, peace, silence. The word, and he talks about salvation. Here he talks about verse 7, my salvation. That word can also be translated glory. And we see Jesus honored us by becoming a human being. Now, without the benefit of the cross, how was David able to have that kind of the confidence that he had? I guess you could say spiritual confidence, maybe, or confidence in God, the spiritual realm.
Look back on his history, Goliath, God worked previously in his life. He had to get back home. God promised him.
Even as a shepherd, he was defending the flock. Killed the bears, killed the lions.
Mm-hmm.
And the giant.
And the giant.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing, like I said, from day one, he always attributes any successes that he ever had to God. And that was the deal that we in the story of Goliath, we hear his frustration with the army, with the Israeli army. What are you guys? That was his point. What are you guys afraid of? Well, haven't you seen this great big guy named Goliath out there? And David's like, so what? His point, you read between the lines, his point to King Saul and all those Israeli soldiers was, Goliath might be big, but my God is way bigger. They just couldn't believe this little snotty little kid. What does he know about warfare? David said, "Let me get him. Let me at him." Okay, there you go.
Well, he even refused the armor.
Yeah. Let's do. Yeah, and then David's like, he tried it on. I can't work with this. I will tell you from some of the testimony of Gershon. Like I said, we always make reference to Gershon, and then their plight. That's the thing. Their whole objective in that group. And I guess I haven't kept up with them in a while to see what's going on now. Whatever their whole objective in the plight is. Let's build this third temple. That's what they are all about. Let's build this third temple. and as they have lobbied the Israeli government. And the Israeli government has been about, well, you know, if we go about doing that, we're going to upset the whole Arab people, all these Arab people, all these nations around us. The Lebanese and Iraq and Iran and all these other people, we're going to get them all upset. And Gershon, the Temple Mount Faithful organization, has thrown it back to the Israeli government's face is, don't we serve the same God that King David served?
Get it on.
You know, he made the big point about these people might be big, but our God is bigger. Do we not still believe in that same thing? Well, to this point, they're like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Well, and here's the thing, we know, I know I'm getting off track just a little bit, but from the book of Revelation, there will come a time when they will finally decide. Yes.
They're fighting all those other people already anyway.
You know, I think that's the thing. Probably there's a lot of people in the world today that are thinking about, what are these Israeli people thinking? They're taking on, they're kind of at battle and at war on at least two fronts now. Three now. What are they thinking? They're thinking they're not too worried about it. And I think they may be getting to that point where they're finally deciding, you know what? God fights for us. Because in the book of Revelation, we see the entire world comes against him, and what happens? Boom. Here he comes to save the day. You know, we win. As they say, in the end, we win. All right. Okay. So, trust in God. Trust in Him all times. Pour out your hearts to Him. So one of the questions he asked is that he asked us about, do we pour our hearts out to God? What is the most difficult thing to talk to God about?
Your failures.
Friend, family?
Failures.
Failures. Okay.
I haven't found anything that was difficult.
Okay. That's good.
There's those times that you know you didn't measure up and
Okay. Maybe your own sin.
That's the most important ones.
Yeah.
well, when it comes to talking to him about my failures and my sins, I don't have a difficult time talking to him, but I feel really bad.
Okay.
Like, I'm sorry, Lord. What? I messed up.
Okay.
And that's the reason.
So I feel bad, but it's not difficult.
Okay.
I think the better way to write that question is say, what is the most difficult thing to listen to God about?
Okay.
People babble on about all kinds of stuff all the time. What's harder is actually shutting up and listening. Listen to Him. Listen to Him tell you maybe some things you don't even want to hear, right? About yourself and about anything else. Listening is our problem. We think we're all in all, and we're in charge of everything. We're doing all the work here. A lot of times we need to be quiet.
Yeah.
Listen to Him.
Yeah. Who really likes to be sit and take a reprimand from your employers or your supervisors? You know what? You messed up, blah blah, and you have to sit there and listen to that. You know, you messed up, you failed.
Well, it may
Yeah, that's hard. That can be hard.
And it may not even be that you're off track all that but you're just doing your own thing.
Yeah.
You know, he may have something in mind, it's like, I'd really like to get something done here, and you could help.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, it's not always like, you know, are you bad boy, bad dog, it's not always that, it's like, you know, hey, there's a lot that we could be doing here.
Yeah.
Are we listening to him and saying, what can I do? What
And it could be is just your attitude, you're doing the right thing, the wrong attitude, and God's got to pull you back in.
Okay.
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, they, I guess the whole point he's of course making about is, you know, pour, you know, as David says here, pour out your heart. That's your prayer closet stuff. Yeah, that's not something we're going to do on a Sunday morning, Sunday school, whatever. This is when you get home, your prayer closet, when you pour out your heart to God. Okay.
Humble yourself in the sight of the Lord.
Yeah.
It's hard to be humble.
Yeah. Who's that? Was that Mac Davis that did that song? Mac Davis, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
But there is this place in here where it says, be still.
Be still. Yeah.
That's the listening part.
Still.
Yeah. All right. Shirley the lowborn, but a breath. Yeah. His point is, my enemies, yeah, who are they? They're just, like I say, just like a breath of vapor. Meaninglessness observed in human life. You see. Okay. Don't trust in extortion or stolen goods. No human resource can serve as a refuge for trouble. Okay, so last question. How do you prevent prudential financial decisions from becoming idolatrous, trusting in your, and I use quotation wealth, and he's got the in parentheses here, your savings, retirement funds, whatever. So, and maybe idolatrous is not the right word there. How do we prevent, like say, maybe we've done pretty well, prevent ourselves from trusting in, you know, okay, I'm set.
Well, just don't separate God from your success. Don't always keep them together.
Okay.
Your success comes from him because you're a steward of what he's given you. You don't own it.
Okay.
It's not your hoard, it's his.
Yeah.
I think that's to not forget that it all comes from him. You didn't do it all on your own.
Okay.
All good things come from God.
Yeah. All right. So, what biblical advice would you offer to young adults that are learning in their financial decisions? Consult David Ramsey. Oh, no. Okay.
Good one.
Everybody knows Dave Ramsey. He's the Christian financial guru guy. Okay. But,
Financial peace.
huh?
Financial peace.
What kind of biblical advice would he give?
First and foremost, don't invest in sin.
Don't invest in sin?
No,
Okay.
Don't
Okay.
invest in sin. Don't promote it. Don't invest in it. Don't put your money in something that is evil. Don't do it ever.
Okay.
Right? Make sure your money is going towards making the world a better place, right?
Thank you, yes.
Okay.
And then priorities, right? God's given it to you first, so give him back his part. However you do that.
Yeah, is that biblical priorities? Yes. I think, can anybody pull up a biblical reference for that?
Can I be a lender or a borrower?
Okay.
Says we're supposed to be good stewards.
Okay. Talks about stewardship.
Well, God gets his share first.
Yes.
How about where Jesus said, seek first what?
The kingdom of God.
Kingdom of God, and then all these things will be added unto you. There's your priority, biblical. Then there's some other stuff too. I think if you go into the Proverbs, and he talks about the ant, gives us some pictures, word pictures of the ant, and how be like that works. Don't be an ant versus the sluggard. He talks about
The grasshopper.
yeah, grasshopper. Oh, grasshopper.
And also, there is a big lesson also for us in the rich young leader. You know, where he puts so much of his love and his faith and his dependence and his ego in all of the wealth that he had, that he wasn't willing to give it up to follow Jesus. And Jesus does in his teachings, and God in his teachings, it doesn't ask us to give up everything as far as our worldly goods. It's being willing to invest. But it doesn't say it's wrong to have wealth,
Okay.
but not to hoard it and refuse to use it to help others. And our love and devotion is not supposed to be with that wealth.
One of the, talking about attitude, correct attitude, one of the biblical references we can go to, Jesus talks about, gives us a story about the man had so much, and then he built bigger barns, and then what did he say? And decided, okay, well, eat, drink, and be merry. And what was it Jesus said? You fool. Your life's required for you tonight. Basically, what good did, what good did all that do? You did it all for nothing, basically. But that was the attitude that he was addressing is, basically really selfish. Look what I did. All this effort, what, for me, and then it's all gone in a moment.
It's where you put your love and your devotion.
Yeah. And I think that's what Jesus said, where your heart, what? Out of your mouth, where things that, good things come out of your heart, or evil things come out of your heart. Okay, so, next week, is at the very bottom, Psalms 23. You talked about your favorite psalm is going to be next week, Psalms 23. There you go. Going to, like I say, Unit 3, Psalms of Thanksgiving and Praise. Confidence in God's shepherding